Hi everyone. This video is designed to do some troubleshooting and help you make sure that you are fully prepared to turn in your practice paragraph 1. We're going to talk about things that you should do, things that you want to avoid, and then we'll look actually at 2 example student papers. So there's information on your assignment instructions about how this essay should be structured. We talked about the 4 paragraphs, the introduction paragraph, body paragraph 1, body paragraph 2, and the conclusion paragraph. And then within each of those paragraphs there are details about what goes in each paragraph. But no matter which paragraph you're writing, you're going to aim for around 9 to 12 sentences per paragraph. That's how you know you have a well-developed paragraph. So in your introductory paragraph, because that's what you're turning in for practice paragraph 1, this is what you write. This paragraph, which is the summary part of the essay, will introduce your reader to your essay topic by first giving an overview of the article you've selected and then stating how your experience connects with the authors. So in general, that's what you're going to say in the introduction. That's what the introduction is going to discuss. Here's how you build that introduction. You begin with a topic sentence, and that topic sentence should name the article's title and the author. And then in that same topic sentence, you should give a statement of the piece's main idea or thesis. So that first sentence is going to be that topic sentence, and then you're going to name the article's key points. When you're naming those key points, you're not paraphrasing the whole article, but instead, you're just going to make your reader acquainted with the piece's main ideas from start to finish. And you also want to make it interesting. So what you might imagine is if a classmate or a friend asked you what Amy Tan's article was about, or what Gita Katari's article was about, or Tanya Barrientos' article is about, you would hit the high points of the article. That's what you're going to put in your summary. Most of the paragraph should consist of your own language and sentence structure, but you should also include one particularly compelling quotation from the piece. Then you finish the paragraph with a sentence that talks about how your experience is both similar to and different from the author's. And that final sentence is your paper's thesis. Now, here are some things that you want to avoid in your practice paragraph. These are just some common errors that I've seen in previous student papers. The first thing you want to avoid is using or including any other sources in this paper. This is a paper that I got during another semester. The title of the paper was Inaudible Love, and it was a summary of Amy Tan's article, but this is how the student's paper started out. Words are a pretext. It is the inner bond that draws one person to another, not words. A quote that seems to perfectly convey author Amy Tan's message in mother tongue. The only source that you are to use in Essay 1 is the article that you're summarizing. So you don't want to add a quotation from another source. You don't need to do any additional research. So that needs to be left out of this paper. And instead, the paragraph opens with the signal phrase, the author, the title, and the article's main idea, just like we talked about in the instructions. So if this writer were going to edit the paper, she would just start right here. Author Amy Tan's message in mother tongue is, and then state what the message or the author's main idea is. Another mistake that you want to avoid is discussing only one part of the article. If your entire paragraph focuses in on only one of the stories or anecdotes that the author provides in the article, it's not a thorough summary. Instead, you want to discuss all of the piece's main ideas. And a good way to do that is just make your summary work from the beginning of the article to the end of the article. You can say after the topic sentence, first, the author discusses this. Next, she moves on to describe this. Later, she talks about this. And her article concludes with this example. So you can just walk your way through the article from beginning to end and make sure that your summary contains all of the article's main ideas. Another mistake you want to avoid in your practice paragraph 1 is overlooking all these MLA guidelines that we've been learning about. So right here, this is 2 examples of that opening topic sentence. In the essay Se habla español, written by Tania Barrientos, so there is your author name, there is the article title, and then after this is going to be the article's main idea. But I want you to notice something. The article is punctuated differently in these 2 sentences, and how you punctuate the article title is important. That's one of the many MLA guidelines that you need to adhere to in all of your papers, including this one. So which one is correct? Do you know? You can pause this video and look in your little Segal handbook and see if you can figure it out, and then come back, start the video, because the correct way to punctuate the article title, since it's a smaller container, is to surround the article title with quotation marks, not italics. So don't italicize the article title. Instead, use quotation marks. That's the right way to do it. And that's one of the MLA guidelines that you need to make sure that you adhere to in this paper. Punctuate the article title with quotation marks. Now, another mistake to avoid regarding MLA guidelines has to do with in-text citations or parenthetical citations. These are 3 different examples of in-text citations that students have submitted. You need to make sure that you give correct information in your in-text citation. Which one of those is correct? Actually, none of them. Now, if you're not sure what goes in your in-text citation, instead of showing you here in this video, I'm going to encourage you to go back and review the section in your little Segal handbook that talks about MLA in-text documentation. And you can also watch the video that I posted that talks about how to do in-text citations using MLA style. And the reason that I'm encouraging you to go back and look at these resources is because I want you to get real familiar using your little Segal handbook and using these teaching videos when you're trying to solve some of these questions. It's always a good idea to go back and look at the content and material that's been provided to you. Don't just guess. All of these things are available on Brightspace. Now, here is another mistake I want you to avoid, and it has to do with where you put the punctuation around your in-text citation. Do you put it inside the quotation marks and before the in-text citation? Or do you put it after the in-text citation? And you'll notice there's no period here. Where do you put the period? You always want to put the end punctuation in the correct spot, and the correct spot is after the in-text citation. The period goes after the parentheses. All in all, when it comes to MLA documentation, I like to say the devil is in the details, and there are a lot of details. So take time to look at your MLA guidelines in your Little Seagull Handbook and watch the teaching videos that I've provided on Brightspace, just to make sure that you've gotten all those details correct. One other mistake to avoid. There is a commercial, I think it's for Cheez-Its, and the people in the commercial say, "Get your own box." And I like to tell students, get your own title for your paper. Don't title your paper Practice Paragraph 1, and don't title your paper with the name of whatever the article is that you're summarizing. Those titles are already taken. Don't borrow a title. Get your own title. Maybe something like Struggling for Acceptance. I don't know. I'm not going to throw out too many ideas because I don't want to steal whatever you're thinking of. But the main idea is be sure that you create your own title and don't borrow a title from the assignment or from the article. Another mistake to avoid is just turning in something that has lots of careless mistakes. If you were to pause this video and read this paragraph out loud to yourself, pretty quickly you would realize that it contains quite a few mistakes. I'm going to start reading right here in this third sentence. Likewise, when Tan spoke, then there's a capitalization, in this article, Tan refers back to an instance that happened when her mother was trying to talk to her doctor about results that the doctor had supposedly lost, and the doctor didn't take her mother serious because of how the mother talked. When Tan spoke to the doctor in a professional language, the doctor take the situation in a whole different demeanor. This backs up Tan's statement about the different Englishes. Just even reading those two sentences, it's pretty clear that this writer needed to do more careful proofreading and editing. And when I graded this paper, I found a lot of mistakes. I highlighted them in red here. And then down here in the right hand corner you can see these are all the editing abbreviations that I put on this student's paper. These are all the different kinds of errors that this paper contains just in this one short paragraph. You really don't want to turn in something like that. In addition, the paper was incorrectly formatted. It looked exactly like what I put right here. There was no heading, there was no title, so there was no correct formatting. The paragraph was not indented, and then also there was no works cited page submitted. You really want to avoid a carelessly prepared paper because the grade that you get on it is not going to make you happy. Be sure that instead of being careless, you're being careful and that you're paying attention to all the instructions and guidance that you're given. So now you know what you don't want to do. Let's talk about some of the things that you do want to do on this paper, because that's what you really want to emphasize. Let's go back to the instructions just real quickly. There is a description of what goes in the introductory paragraph. And again, we're talking about the structure. You begin with the topic sentence that names the article's title and author, and then gives the piece's main idea or thesis. Then you name the article's key points because you're wanting to acquaint your reader with the piece's main ideas. And then you're closing with a sentence that states how your experience is both similar to and different from the author's, and that sentence is your paper's thesis. That's how you want to structure or build this paper. Topic sentence, key points, sentence that states how your experience is different to and similar from the author's. That's what goes in your introduction. Also, keep in mind, Most of this paragraph should be written in your own language and sentence structure. You don't want a bunch of direct quotes in this paper, but you do want to include one particularly compelling quote. And the reason that I want you to do that is partly because it's a good practice, but also I want you to have the opportunity to try out using a direct quotation and get some guidance about how to do that correctly. And you can even use that running quotation strategy that we've practiced and learned about recently. But you do need one quote, but not a bunch of quotes. So this is a successful student paper that I received in a previous semester. You can look at it and right away you can see that it's formatted correctly. And why don't you just pause the video right now and read this paper out loud to yourself. Now that you've read this paragraph, I want you to notice some things. Like I said, it's formatted correctly. It's got a heading. It's got a title. The paragraph is indented. You've got your whole paragraph. And I'll show you here in a minute, it also contained those other two sentences that we talked about. It also shows careful documentation. The title of this article is punctuated correctly. You've got your in-text citations done correctly, and you have a works cited entry. The paper opens with a strong topic sentence like we've been discussing. It also gives a thorough and accurate summary of the author's main ideas. And then it ends with a final sentence that is the thesis statement. One thing I forgot to note is that it also has an original title. It also contains one sentence of direct quote. It actually contains two, which is okay, but it doesn't have just a whole lot of direct quote. But it does have two direct quotes, and this quote right here is the running quotation method that we talked about, as is this quote. So the direct quotations read very clearly. And then throughout this paragraph, we have clear, grammatically correct writing. It's well written. It's been edited. It reads clearly. Now, this paper also includes the two topic sentences for the two body paragraphs, and they're on topic. The first one talks about how this student writer's experiences are different than Barrientos's. Unlike Barrientos, I can never know what it is like to be a minority. And then it talks about similarities. Though I've never been a minority, I have felt disconnected from my community. Now, one thing that this student didn't include, and that's because the assignment instructions were different when the student turned in the paper. There is no first sentence of the last paragraph. You do want to include that in your paper. And basically, what that sentence is this final sentence of your introductory paragraph, just rewritten using different language and sentence structure. It's your reiterated thesis. But this is an effectively written practice paragraph 1. It's not perfect. I think at least one misspelling, and the works cited entry needs some work. It has too many things italicized, and it is missing the edition number for the anthology, and the anthology year is wrong. It's probably because this is an old paper and that was an old anthology. But it's not perfect, but this is a very strong practice paragraph 1 submission. Now, I'll close with a suggestion for you. A really good practice is to print out your rough draft and set it on your desk next to your laptop or whatever device you're using to watch this video. Watch the video again and just look through your draft for all of these different aspects that we've discussed. Check it to see, does it contain any of the errors that we've talked about in this video? Does it follow the assignment instructions? It's always a good idea to look back over those assignment instructions one more time before you turn in your paper. Is the document formatted correctly? Did you use MLA documentation correctly? Did you structure your paragraph according to the instructions? Did you use clear, grammatically correct writing? I'm hoping that you did. I'm wishing you luck on your paper, and I look forward to reading your practice paragraph 1 submissions. Thanks for watching.